Guiguzi's dark persuasion tactics, most evil brainwashing techniques, not for the faint of heart. Art of Fortune Strategy. Greetings to you all. If you are not a person of integrity, I advise you not to read this book. Every time I finish reading it, I have to pick up Buddhist scripture to cleanse myself. Because the content within, and this is no exaggeration, is like a divine sword. A mere graze could mean bidding farewell to this world. Therefore, using what's in this book to harm others could, at best, leave them crippled. At worst, it could lead to a gruesome death where their body isn't even left intact. You might think I'm exaggerating, but let me tell you, in ancient times, this book could be used to destroy an entire nation. Before I started my business, I was just an innocent, naive person, but after reading this book, my perspective aged decades in the blink of an eye. Those cunning, seasoned individuals seemed like mere fools before me. This book is called Guiguzi, Ghost Valley Master. Surely, you've heard the idiom about hanging one's head from the rafters and stabbing one's thigh. Right? It speaks of studying diligently, avoiding sleep while reading. That person tied their hair to a ceiling beam. And furthermore, when drowsy, they jabbed their thigh with an awl to stay awake. Many hear this story and focus only on the character's effort in studying. But do you know what book that person was reading? It was precisely Guiguzi. This book trained figures like Zhang Yi and Sun Bin, great politicians, and even Xu Fu, who famously deceived Qin Shi Huang into searching for the elixir of immortality. If the students were so formidable, imagine the master. However, Master Guiguzi himself didn't achieve conventionally recorded great deeds. Yet legends about him persist, because no book on strategy and scheming can surpass Guiguzi. This book is like a game of chess where you place both the black and white pieces yourself. Everyone, from customers, consumers, bosses, to employees, can become your pawns. But could such a powerful book be casually read by just anyone? Why do many people feel brilliant after reading it but achieve nothing in reality? After reading Guiguzi repeatedly, I realized this book needs to be read backwards, from the end to the beginning. I believe Master Guiguzi was a master marketer. This book was actually written for kings and nobles. But if only these people read it, the book could easily be lost to time. Therefore, he placed the least important, yet most appealing content for common people, the tricks and techniques, at the beginning. The most crucial, core principles, though they may sound profound and heavy, they can help you soar instantly, are placed at the end. Because once you absorb the mindset of the great persuaders and strategists, you won't need the initial tricks anymore. Thus, many readers find the beginning practical but the latter parts less valuable and skip them. They think they've finished the book, but in reality, it's no different from not having read it at all. Today's video might contain things you've never heard before, as these are insights I've gained myself, not even shared with my closest assistants. I hope you can support and subscribe to the channel. If you worry you'll forget after listening, wasting your time, you can like this video. It will automatically be saved to your playlist so you can review and implement it anytime. Many people live their entire lives without understanding the game of this world. In the past, Zhang Yi was beaten half to death. When carried home, he asked his wife only one question: "Is my tongue still there?" His wife nodded, and he was overjoyed. Everyone thought he was mad, but only he knew that as long as his tongue remained, he could still achieve greatness. Indeed, ultimately, with just his tongue, he became a powerful prime minister, second only to one man but above millions. Have you noticed? All the famous figures you know in this world became renowned thanks to their tongues. Look at Biden, Elon Musk, Jack Ma, or Bill Gates. Which of them isn't eloquent? In other words, for your entire life, you only need to study one thing: how to persuade others. Because when you can persuade others, you truly don't need to do anything else. From Guiguzi's perspective, money is an object. How do you control objects? Simple. Use your mouth. If you want to get money from someone's pocket, persuade them, and they will willingly give it to you. For example, the US president is very powerful, right? Surely, his work is very busy. But you'll realize that 99% of the nation's major affairs are not done by him. What is his job? To persuade his subordinates to implement his ideas. Then, to persuade other nations, merchants, bankers, and the wealthy to cooperate with the government. That is politics. Look at actors. Why do they earn so much money? The movies they act in, the advertisements they represent. Isn't their sole purpose to persuade you to become their fan? Next, look at Jack Ma or Bill Gates. They aren't the ones doing the technical work or inventing things. It's all done by people under them. Their daily job is to persuade their subordinates to help them make more money. Then, they appear in speeches, do charity work, organize public welfare activities. See? Isn't the media reporting on them for free? Helping them increase their fame for free? Never mind the positive benefits this brings to their brands. Just look at the stock price. Every time it increases by $1, they make tens of billions. So, the rules of this world's game were actually clearly stated by Guiguzi thousands of years ago. The mouth is the gateway to the mind. Simply put, the mouth is the door to the mind. Why are others willing to work for us? When you were young, did you have friends who acted like loyal followers? Always tagging along? Have you ever been a leader or a follower? Why were they willing to follow you without pay? Many would say it's due to personal charisma. But I dislike that term because it's too vague. Frankly, it's because we implanted our thoughts into their heads. In other words, it's a form of gentle brainwashing. Has everyone understood? Persuasion is brainwashing. Have you ever noticed why 90% of the world's population is poor? Look at how they try to persuade others. And you'll understand, most people just pour out their own thoughts, thinking the more they talk, the more eloquent they are, or that non-stop talking makes them a master orator. They believe that by talking a lot, the other person will absorb their information and eventually agree with them. In the eyes of those who have read Guiguzi, such people are just talking nonsense. Their words don't achieve their purpose and also waste others' time. It would be better not to speak at all. What does non-stop talking represent? It means you're conveying too much information. While human memory is limited, others won't grasp the main point, meaning they don't know what you're trying to communicate. In business, we detest people who smile and talk incessantly in front of us. After hearing just a few sentences from this type of person, we know they have low social standing, and their words cannot persuade us. Therefore, at cocktail parties, if we encounter such people striking up a conversation, we usually find an excuse to leave. Honestly, to persuade others is essentially to sell yourself. What do ordinary people do? They go for job interviews hoping to be hired. They flatter clients hoping for an order. Or they pursue a girl. This is selling. Of course, if you're good at selling, you can earn more money than the average person. But the problem is, this path is very arduous. So why don't we make others actively seek us out? Actively bring money to us? This is called attraction, also known as marketing. Alright. If you want to quickly grasp Guiguzi's ideas, first remember two characters, Bai and he. Bai means to open, to advance, to attack. He means to close, to defend, to retreat. In ancient times, there was a man named Li Yu. He wrote a poem of very high artistic value. Ask Sir. How much sorrow can you bear? As much as a river of spring water flowing east. The poem is beautiful, perfectly expressing the remorse of a fallen king. Truly brilliant, but the result? He was killed. This is the type of person who is too naive. The reigning emperor heard that poem and thought, are you still thinking of rebellion? Yet, this story is praised by later generations. So much so that today, many people in weak positions still like to play the hero. For example, in a group bad-mouthing the boss, one hero rushes out and curses the boss to his face. Then a few others join in. The result? All who cursed the boss get fired. It sounds satisfying, but this is a case of opening your mouth, when in a weak position. Conversely, have you heard of Lu Shan? Later generations cursed him as happy, forgetting Shu, so happy he forgot his homeland. Captured and sold off. He supposedly even helped count the money. Such a person is scolded. But actually, he was very smart. When a knife is at your throat, do you dare hold your head high? At that moment, of course, you must stay silent, to survive. What's wrong with that? In society, when making money, remember this metaphor. Bai and he are like a light switch. You come home, flip the switch, the light turns on. That's the yang aspect, the bright, obvious side everyone sees. When you go to sleep, flip the switch, the light turns off, and darkness surrounds. That's the yin aspect, the dark, hidden side nobody knows. Just as you can't come home and turn off the lights or go to sleep with the lights on. When persuading someone, You must observe whether they belong to yin or yang. Guiguzi said, to the yang person, speak grandly, to the yin person, speak subtly. From below, seek the small, from above, seek the great. Simply put, speak human language to humans, and ghost language to ghosts. This isn't empty rhetoric. A person unable to integrate into the upper echelons often underestimates the importance of this. In ancient times, the higher you climbed, the closer you were to the king. If you didn't grasp the king's personality and just bluntly offered opinions, no matter how good your ideas were, your head would roll. Modern times are the same. Those who suffer ruin often do so because of thoughtless speech. So, how do you know when to use buy, open, and when to use he, close? This is the essence of Guiguzi, Chuai and Mo. Chuai means to investigate, to assess. Mo means to probe, to explore, to feel out. When you first meet a business partner you want to profit from, or notice a girl you want as your girlfriend, or desire a promotion and raise, don't rush to think about what to say. The first thing you need to do is market research. Gather information about the target. Find out about them. What they like, dislike, need, want, fear. You must know everything. If you can master this, it's basically no different from Sun Tzu's principle. Know yourself and know your enemy. You will not be imperiled in 100 battles. It's a fundamental principle. You can gather information about the other person from their social media, their friends. Don't shy away from trouble. Once you have enough information, remember, you are now like an actor who just received a script. You need to put yourself in the character's position and perspective to think about the issues. Immerse yourself in the role. You are them, and they are you. Consider all details to grasp their psychology. Trust me, if you do this step, you will instantly know what to say and do when facing them. This is the Chuai stage. Then comes the Mo stage, probing. Ask questions or guide the conversation subtly to get feedback. The crucial point isn't what you say, but the other person's reaction. What matters isn't the action you take, but whether the other person responds, and how they respond. Everything you do is just tactics. The core is to lead them to act themselves. If they don't act or react, all your efforts are fruitless. Surely you've heard the story of Shang Yang's reforms, but hearing it is useless if you don't understand the crucial point. What you need to know is how Shang Yang climbed to that position. When he first met the king of Qin, he didn't know the king's personality either. So what did he do? Chuai first, then Mo. First, Shang Yang investigated the king's background and personality. Then, he began probing. The first meeting, he gently mentioned some common principles. But seeing the king wasn't interested, he immediately fell silent. The second time, he talked about the way of ruling a state. But the king still wasn't interested. Okay, the third time, he boldly proposed the ideology of the hegemon, Ba Dao, pursuing power and dominance. And this time, it hit the mark. The king was instantly excited. The two talked all night. Afterwards, with strong support from the king, Shang Yang applied legalist thought to thoroughly reform Qin. The entire reform process was fully backed by the king, to the point where Shang Yang reached a status of, slay gods if they block you. Slay Buddhas if they block you. During the Mo stage, don't state your entire viewpoint right away. Don't list all your ideas at once. Start with gentle, non-pressuring words, then slowly probe the other person's limits, aspirations, and fears. How do you know these things? Guiguzi teaches us to observe the other person's reactions, the signals they emit. For example, if I'm doing business, I'll say a few concise, logical sentences to start the conversation, then remain silent to let my client or partner speak. While they talk, I will slowly observe their attitude, expressions, and micro-signals from their eyes, gestures, facial expressions. If they speak with ease and joy, I will praise them briefly. How do you know they're happy? It's the smile, the state of happiness, the positive energy you can feel. That's the signal they emit to show friendliness. At this point, all you need to do is stop talking and listen. This way, they will clearly reveal their personality to us. Once we have completely grasped the other person, then we can open our mouths to speak and make them fall silent. For example, if I know their weak point is an inability to market themselves, I can leverage this point and offer a solution. This solution is our product or service. See, this whole process is very pragmatic. They need something, we provide it. We offer the product, the solution, and then collect the money. Many people, when talking to others, lack prior preparation. That's why they easily offend others or can't get others to work for them. The reason is they can't anticipate the situation. They speak spontaneously, saying whatever comes to mind. This is regrettable because even they don't know what they're doing. I've met many entrepreneurs who couldn't grow. Not because they were stupid. Some understood business models or ways to make money much better than I do. But when doing business, wanting to make money from others, relying solely on models isn't enough. You also need to know how to deal with people. I've noticed that the smarter people are, the more they like to use arguments to prove themselves right. You might win the argument against me, silencing me, but that doesn't mean I'll let you make money off me. These are the types who force smiles at cocktail parties. If I were to listen to them, they'd talk endlessly, unaware they're revealing more weaknesses. Actually, this whole process is like hunting. First, we need to find where the prey frequents, simply put. Investigate the background. This is the chew-eye stage. Next, besides setting nets, we also need to place bait. This is the mow stage. When the prey reacts, we just need to immediately pull the net shut. That's it. These are the things mentioned in the early parts of the Guiguzi book. As I said, the truly essential content is in the later parts. So, let's start from the back. The later section has a chapter titled, Ben Jing Yin Fu Qi Shu, roughly 7 Arts of the Foundational Scripture and Hidden Talisman. If you've read martial arts novels, it's like Neigong, internal cultivation. No matter how powerful external moves are, they become meaningless against someone with profound internal skill. This principle also applies when you want to win over a girl. If you are a person of depth, confidence, and rich inner life, you really don't need special techniques. The girl will naturally be drawn to you. Therefore, the content of this chapter focuses on adjusting one's internal state to improve external expression. How to achieve that? 2 words. Jingshen. Simply put, it's making the spirit strong and full of energy. But what is Jingshen? Pay attention, it's not complicated. Jingshen is like the fuel of a car. It's a type of energy. Maybe electricity or gasoline. We humans are the same. When we work or think, we consume energy. Imagine playing basketball after 10 hours of sleep versus playing after a tiring workday until 9 p.m. Your state will be completely different. Your performance certainly won't be the same, right? But it's not that simple. What makes Guiguzi's mind method, Shin Fa, so marvelous is its ability to help us see through the world. In other words, when you see a person, you can instantly know how to make money from them. When you hear a story, you can immediately grasp how to handle it, turning everything into a tool for you to make money. Even, if necessary, be a bit ruthless. Then, you will no longer be harmed or deceived by others. Only you can control everything. Because when someone stands before you, you can close your eyes and still know what they will do next. Reaching this state, Guiguzi calls it being a sage. This isn't an exaggeration, as Guiguzi's disciples could nearly reach a similar state. The principle is this. Sages can respond appropriately to any situation because they know how to grasp the root of things. All actions stem from the root. They achieve this by connecting external perception with internal awareness. They use their senses to perceive, then use their inner mind to analyze. This method is called Shin Shu, mind art technique. To cultivate Shin Shu, first, you must ensure your inner Jingshen is abundant. As I said before, otherwise, Shin Shu won't flow smoothly. In other words, mental energy is the bridge between the inner self and the outer world. Only when your mental energy is abundant can this energy radiate from within, through the senses, and reach other things. This is what Guiguzi calls using the mind to observe things. Although I haven't reached this state, my teacher once said that my understanding of human nature and things has surpassed many people who might live their whole lives without understanding as deeply as I do. This isn't because I'm naturally gifted, but because I practiced according to Guiguzi's methods, who accumulated and developed training methods to enhance mental energy, turning it from weak to strong, from scarce to abundant. I think if you're like I used to be, starting with nothing, you don't need to learn overly complex things. Just learn this one thing. Guiguzi provided a perfect answer. Jingyi Jie Yang Qi. Here, Jing means keeping the inner mind peaceful, not too happy, not too sad, not angry, and not letting excessive ambitions dominate. Intense emotions severely consume your mental energy. Imagine your inner mind as a pot. Mental energy is the water inside, and your emotions are the fire. The stronger the emotion, the hotter the fire, and the faster the water evaporates. Therefore, if you want to prevent excessive depletion of mental energy, you need to learn to control your emotions and keep your inner mind calm. When your inner mind is peaceful, the functions within your body become more balanced and orderly. The entire body will manifest a state of huo qi, harmonious energy, vitality. This huo qi is de virtue, and its role is to nourish your mental energy. In summary, this is using virtue to nourish the spirit. If you reach the pinnacle on this path, you will harmonize with the Tao and become a Gen Ren, true person, immortal of legend. But we are practical people. What we want is to make money. Right? What is Guiguzi's view on money? Money is like flowing water, the flow of currency. But unlike the natural law where water flows downwards, money flows upwards. This means money always flows towards the higher social strata. Globally, only 3% of the population controls 97% of the wealth. In other words, the higher your position, the more money surrounds you. And when there's more money, the excess continues to flow to even higher positions. Every time a technological revolution occurs, it brings enormous wealth to the world. This means technology is the high ground where money flows. Electricity, machinery, the internet, all these are peaks of technology. You'll realize technology isn't led by humans but by their needs and desires. In other words, money flows to where human needs and desires are met. Our parents' generation mostly started from scratch. As technology rapidly advanced, they faced the massive current of the times. Whoever had the guts, whoever dared to push forward, grasped immense wealth. But from a macro perspective, today is an era of wealth accumulation. The rich get richer. The poor get poorer because social strata have solidified. Resources are concentrated in the upper classes and held there. But over the past decades, there have always been successive opportunities for wealth growth, creating countless wealthy individuals. What we need to do now is observe the flow of money, see what capital is playing at. If capital sees potential in a certain field, don't hesitate, jump in immediately. Speed determines height. Running fast is the only way to break through the ceiling of social class before the next technological revolution. If you want to make money, there's only one way: interception or appropriation Zhanduo. On the racetrack of money flow, you must dig your own hole so that a portion of the money flows into your pocket. This is the strategy of Guiguzi. Due to time limits, I will stop here. We share free information on how to become wealthy, an entrepreneur, an investor, and achieve financial freedom. If you don't want to miss out, please follow our channel, turn on notifications, and share this video. I sincerely wish all brothers and sisters who supported this video will soon achieve financial freedom. If just 1 or 2 sentences in this video help your life, I am already satisfied.